First contact. Tuesday, January 28, 1975, 2:34 p.m. Semjase says you are a fearless human being. Billy says I have learned to overcome fear and become objective. Semjase says I know. We have been studying you for years. Billy says that's nice, and why? Semjase says because through you we want to clarify some things. Billy says isn't anyone else suited for that purpose? Semjase says certainly. But we've kept an eye on you because you have been preoccupied with these problems for thousands of years within other personalities, and because you think and act in a real and honest way, and because you have already frequently carried out such a mission in your former lives, even though for us, great mysteries surround this fact. Billy says thanks for the flowers, colloque. German for compliments. Semjase says do not mention it because you have earned it on your own merit. Billy says fine, but who are you, really? Semjase says just call me, dude, informal German, you, as I also do with you. Billy says thanks, but who are you? Semjase says I am called Semjase and I come from the Pleiadians. Billy says from the 7 stars, the 7 sisters. Semjase says certainly. Billy says a nice excursion, I must say. How did you do that? Perhaps through hyperspace. Semjase says your knowledge is often greater than we might like at times. Billy says why? I can keep quiet and I am not a blabbermouth. Semjase says I am aware of that. For this reason your knowledge is in the right place. I and all the others are therefore not worried about that. Billy says why have you obstructed my way to your ship? Is it because of the film in my camera? Would it have been destroyed? Semjase says definitely. I want you to have at least the photographic proof. Billy says I see. I shall go public. But how will I arrange that? Semjase says you shall, and later I will explain the way. Billy says good, but isn't it somewhat dangerous to leave your ship on the ground so openly in case other people pass by? Semjase says don't worry because we have seen to it that nobody else can come closer than a 500-meter 550-yard radius. Besides, the beam ship is visually protected by the forest and the hills. Billy says then I will be the only one included in this meeting. Semjase says yes, and you know why. Billy says I understand unfortunately. Semjase says even though you regret it, it cannot be helped now nor in the future. Billy says I understand. My dear fellow men. Semjase says certainly. Their spiritual consciousness-related cognitions follow the wrong paths. But you have made the effort and have learned. You have already found the truth many thousands, indeed millions of years ago within other personalities and assimilated the knowledge. This is why you stand out from the great masses of human beings on earth, and this is our reason for choosing you. Billy says you always say, we. Does that mean that? Semjase says certainly. I already mentioned that you often know more than we would like. Please keep quiet about this. The truth is difficult enough for human beings as it is. Billy says I have never possessed this knowledge and, consequently, I can say nothing about it. Semjase says you could word it that way, and I know that you will keep it quiet. I know you would even deny the whole event and call it fantasy if anyone should try to force you to speak. Billy says you really know me thoroughly. Semjase says because of this and many other reasons and predeterminations, we have selected you. But now enough questions and answers. Listen very carefully now to what I have to say. Write down everything and tell the public about it, but in a different way than when you carried out your mission in previous lives. Billy says how can I do that when I have nothing here to write on? I also don't have a tape recorder or anything like it. Semjase says do not worry about that, you can write it down later. First I will explain everything to you so you have an overview. Besides, it is easier for me to contact you later when I can transmit the thoughts to you so you can write everything down word for word very precisely. Billy says, are you thinking of the same method by which you brought me here? Semjase says, you are really very knowledgeable and a credit to us. Billy says, thank you. Semjase says, all right then. Please listen now and only interrupt me when you really do not understand something. Semjase's explanations. For some time now we have had the urge to contact a human being on Earth who sincerely and concretely wants to help us in our mission. We have often tried to do this before, but the selected human beings were neither knowledgeable nor willing enough, and often lacked sincerity and loyalty as well. But those we could have selected for our endeavors were afraid and remained silent about our coming. They insisted they would be accused of being insane and of lying, and that attempts to harm them might be made through official and foolish human intrigues. Instead, many boastful individuals have appeared who claim to have contact with us and even to have flown in our beam ships. But they are nothing but charlatans and frauds who sun themselves in dubious glory and want to profit from it. Human beings on Earth have entire organizations that preoccupy themselves with the reconnaissance of our beam ships, but they possess very few items that are truly authentic. They are in possession of many photographs that depict nothing more than some lights and light images of natural origin or quite intentional falsifications. Only very few of these photographic proofs are authentic and truly show our beam ships. Most photographs are only montages or photographic forgeries manufactured by frauds and charlatans whose names have since become famous worldwide. Their subsequent books and written manuscripts only demonstrate a wicked deceit for purposes of showing off or of charlatanery. By the same token, many people have the audacity to link us to human religions. We have nothing to do with religions, nor do we ever want to have anything to do with them. Not even your so-called sectarians refrain from this step, deceiving their fellow men with religious beliefs. These infamous and primitive machinations should be stopped before the whole world falls into their grip. Were these frauds and charlatans really linked and also in contact with us, or had they been, we would have offered them an opportunity to obtain very clear photographic proof of our beam ships. But because they are dishonest individuals, we have not given them this chance. As evidence of this truth, we gave you the opportunity to take sharp pictures of one of our beam ships. In addition, we will give you other opportunities to obtain even better and sharper photographic evidence. Man on Earth calls us extraterrestrials or star people or whatever he feels like. He calls us supernatural and he does not know us in the least. In reality we are human beings just like the Earth humans, but our knowledge and wisdom are far superior than theirs, also in technical respects. Man on Earth has taken his first very small steps towards cosmic space flight, but this means nothing more than the first, still primitive attempts. Even though he has reached the moon with his rockets, man has not yet reached cosmic space. In his current form he also would never be able to reach it. For this, a propulsion system capable of penetrating hyperspace and nullifying immense distances is necessary. Space and time are not conquered by space and time, but by spacelessness and timelessness, which means that space and time collapse within themselves and become unidirectional null time. In this way, just fractions of a second suffice for the passage through millions of light years without almost any time loss, because null time paralyzes space and time. Many frauds and charlatans claim to be in contact with human beings from other planets in your solar system and even to have flown with or in their beam ships. This is nothing but a lie, for most of the stars they mention and their planets are so desolate that human life cannot exist there. Other planets, on the other hand, have long since ceased to support life, or else they are in their first stages of development. Other solar systems, however, harbor a number of various life forms, and not only human life. The forms of life are diverse, human as well as animal. Many faunal or even floral life forms have also reached highly advanced levels of existence. So there are species that have acquired much knowledge and have freed themselves from their environment. They travel through space and also occasionally come to Earth. Many of them are rather unpleasant creatures and live in a certain barbarism that frequently is nearly as bad as the tourist trials. One must be on one's guard from them because they often attack and destroy everything that gets in their way. Often they have destroyed whole planets or forced their inhabitants into barbaric slavery. This is one of our tasks, to warn the people on Earth of these creatures. Let the people know this because the time is approaching when a conflict with these degenerate human creatures becomes unavoidable. An additional task is aimed at the sects and religions, along with the related underdevelopment of the human consciousness. Above everything there remains but one that possesses the power of life and death over all creatures. It is creation alone, which has laid its laws over everything, laws that are irrefutable and have eternal validity. Man is able to identify them in nature if he makes the effort. They show him the way of life and the path to spiritual and consciousness-related one greatness, which embodies the goal of life. One development of all aspects related to the consciousness. When man indulges in his religions, that is malevolent, erroneous doctrines, his consciousness wastes away more and ultimately leads to a bottomless abyss. Man may recognize that a god can never assume the role of creation or decide over man's destiny. A god is only a governor as well as a human being who powerfully or dictatorially reigns over his fellow men. God is not creation but only one of its creatures, like all creatures who are dependent upon creation. But man follows his erroneous religious beliefs and claims that God is creation itself. He goes even further and claims that a normal human being by the name of Emmanuel, who has also been called Jesus Christ through conscious error, is God's son and creation itself. There are various New Age sectarians who go further still and assert things that approach delusion. Yet, as was mentioned already, beamship frauds and charlatans follow in the same direction quite clearly. They put out the lie to the world that we, or our brothers and sisters from other parts of the cosmos, are coming as angels and the like upon direction from God, whereby they mean creation to bring terrestrial mankind the long-desired peace, the truth of religion and God's protection and commands. This is nothing more than a well-planned lie by sectarians, frauds or charlatans. Because we have never proceeded by such orders and we also will never do such. Creation itself never gives commands because it embodies the greatest power in this universe, and never has to resort to commands or religions. Religion is only a primitive machination by man to command, suppress and exploit others, to which only life forms that are weak in their consciousness succumb. Bring this truth to the light of the world and make it known to the people. This is an additional part of our task. If this does not happen, mankind will slowly destroy itself and fall into complete, spiritual darkness, darkness of the consciousness. We know that you are aware of a secret old text whose originals were unfortunately destroyed through the carelessness of our commissary, who was your friend and regrettably failed through fear. Disseminate the translation of this text, for it is the only truly authentic one and contains no lies. And as we know, you are writing a book about this text and about the real truth. Enophans what equals an open word. Billy Edward Albert Meier, Wassermann seit Verlag. To us it seems to be the most important book ever written by a human being of your earth, even though it is harsh in its language and will be met with hatred. It finally offers the truth to the earth humans, although it still contains some speculation. It may finally destroy the madness of religion within many people or cause them at least to seriously ponder these matters. It is an extraordinarily good piece of work and you should make it available to the people. For now I have told you all that is necessary, but it cannot be enough. Many additional contacts will follow this initial one, and I will call you at a given point in time. But by means of thought transmission, which you call telepathy, I will get in contact with you and transmit further information to you. Do not worry that I would do this at an inappropriate time, but only when it suits you. I appreciate your ways as well as your sense of independence, and therefore will adjust myself to you at all times. The time will come for you when we will meet in my beam ship, where you can undertake